What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the UTL Trucking Education Hub podcast. I'm your host, Tamaris Massengale. Have you ever thought about what happens after trucking? Not after you retire, but after you've built a successful business. What's the next move? Because a truck can create income, but what you do with that income determines whether you'll rebuild or you'll be paycheck to paycheck, or if you're building wealth for your family. Today's conversation is about thinking bigger than the truck. It's about entrepreneurship, investing, creating multiple streams of income, and understanding that trucking can be the vehicle that helps you build the life you've always wanted. If you've ever wondered how to use trucking as a stepping stone instead of the finish line, this conversation is for you. Before we jump in, make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get to the trucking truth. Today's guest understands what it means to build more than one business. As the owner of Epic Level LLC, she's an entrepreneur who has experienced both the transportation industry and real estate, giving her a unique perspective on creating opportunities beyond a single source of income. Her journey as a dump truck owner-operator taught her the value of hard work, resilience, and entrepreneurship. Today, she's applying those same principles to the real estate industry, helping demonstrate that success isn't about limiting yourself to one lane. It's about using every opportunity to build something greater. Today, we're talking about trucking entrepreneurship, business ownership, investing, real estate, and how to use one opportunity to create the next. Please help me welcome Flo-Ron from Epic Level LLC to UTL Trucking Education Hub podcast. Welcome.
Hello. How's it going?
It is a very, very, very happy and blessed day. Let me tell you guys something. I have been chasing this beautiful queen for so long, and I am elated to have her on. She is a wealth of knowledge, has been in this industry for a very long period of time. Flo-Ron, tell us a little about yourself and your entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, so I am an owner of Epic Level, as you mentioned. My initial background is real estate. As a little girl, I've always wanted to do real estate because my auntie, I seen them in a real estate game. However, when the real estate market crashed, I'm like, what am I going to do? What is going to pay me like real estate? And my dad, I was brought up in trucking. My dad owned trucks, and then my brother owned trucks. My dad was trying to get me to get into it back then, and I'm like, I'm good. Real estate taking good care of me, you know? But when the market crashed, I vowed I would never wear one hat again, you know? So I was asleep, and the Holy Spirit came to me and said I needed to jot down. At this time, my dad passed. The Holy Spirit comes to me and say, you need to get a pen and pad. You need to model after your mother, follow, basically see everything that she's doing with the business so that I can help assist. I didn't know that me doing that was it was for me. It wasn't to help my mom. It was for me. And that's the end of the story. I went on and did everything I had to do. I took real estate and used that to help me purchase my first truck. And so, yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned that your family, you had trucking all around you. Were they in dump truck too, or were they semi, or they were dump truck too?
Yeah, they were dump. Well, okay. So for my dad, it didn't become like the super tents until later. He did the long trailers, like low side, high side. So he did the tractor trailer and dumping, but it was always still construction. It was always construction.
So looking back, what was the biggest lesson from that chapter of your life?
In regards to the real estate and trucking, like the biggest thing was multiple streams of income. When I got into trucking, it was like it did become pretty demanding to where I couldn't really give real estate my all. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just, focus on this, on the trucking thing right now, and let's just see what happens. So yeah, but that right there, more than one hat.
I love
Mhm.
how you mentioned how industry chaos force you to understand the true meaning of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship should be where you're not just, you should be flexible. And it shouldn't be where you're just stuck in one space. And then when it collapses, then you don't have an exit strategy. You should step into entrepreneurship with the understanding that you have a start, a mid, and an exit. So, and
Mhm.
that helps you to be able to pivot. So you went from one extreme to the next. You went from real estate to transportation. So that's a major
Right.
pivot. So
Right.
um, I know it's crazy to hear women in dump truck. You don't hear a lot of women talk about it. So just share some of your experiences in that industry and how you've handled it. It's already a shock when you hear women that are in trucking, but then for you to
Mhm.
niche down and actually be in the dump truck industry, so that means that you're kind of playing in the dirt majority of the time.
Right. You know what I mean? Except for this time, you're getting paid, no?
Right? Right?
Yeah. So when I initially started, um, it wasn't a lot of us in there. It was a handful, but not a lot. There's a lot now. And that was back over 10 years ago. So maybe like back in like 14, 15 or something like that. But now there's quite a few. And it was definitely a male dominating industry. And I just did my thing as we do, and then I would hear the guys, like some of the foremen out there, like, hey, you need to teach these guys how to like back up and do it. And they don't know how to follow directions. And I'm like, it's like, I'm gonna get it right the first time because for one, I am truly a minority out here. You know what I mean? So let
Right?
me just figure, because if you're not backing up right, or man, I'm telling you, the criticism is coming. You know what I mean? So I had to make sure like I had this down. And then it gets
Right?
kind of a little scary. I just know that my brother had said to me, never get too comfortable in this equipment. This is ammunition. And if you are not careful, you will kill you and others. You know what I mean? So it's like, so I just, that just stays in the back of my mind. Just never get too comfortable. So yeah.
So can you speak to a little bit of some of the contracts you've worked on? I know that you've worked in, you mentioned offline, you were talking about that you helped with some of the hurricane. Were you a part of
Mhm.
the cleanup process too when they had the fires in California?
Okay, so when I initially started this project, when I initially got into the trucking industry, I started on Crenshaw. And the Crenshaw, was that the Metro line
Yes.
going to LAX? Okay,
Yeah.
so I started there.
All
And
right.
then, yeah, I started there. And those were the great days, really great days. And
Yeah.
then later, when work began to like slow up or have its season, when the fires would happen, I would jump over to the fires. By this time, I am with a broker who was very understanding. It was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go over here and work these fires. So the first fire I ever started was in 17, and that was like it was out in Orange County. And then we did the Malibu fire, and then we did the Paradise fire. I've done so many fires. The Paradise fire was the largest fire. I didn't
Yeah.
do the Pasadena Pacific Palisades fire because
Mhm.
I was doing the hurricane cleanup in North Carolina.
Okay.
So I didn't leave for that. Now in North Carolina for the hurricane, it was like over 200 California trucks out here with me.
What? What?
You have to think broader. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like if you just think, because when I initially got into the business, everything was intrastate, right? because I didn't think I was going to ever leave California to do dump truck work, right? Well, here I am, you know? So when I did that, it was like, it was great. And then the fires happened in California. So 90% of the trucks from California that were in North Carolina left, right? To go home and do the fire. I stayed because I'm like, let me just complete this project and then I'll go do the fires. But they finished the fire cleanup before I can get there. And I'm like, okay, so yeah. But yeah, I started chasing fires. Now I'm doing disasters, period, nationwide.
Wow. That okay, so if you don't mind, to my viewers that run across it, first of all, you just killing the game as a young African American woman. Can you give some advice to someone that may run across this? How can they get to that position where they're able to link up with the right person where they can do travel cleanup or disaster cleanup? I know FEMA is one of the options that people can try to pursue, but just off the rip, what are some pieces of advice that you can get? For example, do you need to have a Class A to be in dump truck, or how do you get to that level? I know it takes time, it takes experience, but how do you position yourself in your state to get to that level where you can travel?
Okay, so what happens is, if you would need, okay, if you're driving a tractor trailer, you would need a Class A. However, if you're driving the straight truck, like the dump truck, the straight trucks, you need a Class B with air brakes endorsement. Okay, so that's one. So if you go get your Class B, you're good to go. Now on your driver's license, a lot of people, I guess it's supposed to say like interstate or intrastate, but when it comes to disasters, like any all that goes out the window. Just, come on out. You're helping doing a disaster. Now, the disaster that we help with in North Carolina, that was state. FEMA, I don't know what was going on with FEMA, but this was a state project. And man, it was great. It was great. So yeah, it had to be, right. And how we found out about that was through word of mouth. So it was this one company who knew how to pull trucks. They were from California, and they pulled all of us out to North Carolina. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love how you mentioned that, because I talk a lot about customer service and that transportation, specifically trucking, it is a relationship foundation building industry. So if you're a person that you struggle with building relationships and being professional, and jumping off the ledge and going to, being awkward and uncomfortable, because some of these environments, especially being a woman, is going to be dominated. So you're going to have to be able to be a chameleon, and I think a lot of women coming into this industry struggle with that, because they're trying to bring this femininity and this sexual, person into a male dominant industry, and then they're offended when men respond a certain way, right? But it's an unspoken truth, which is this is a male dominated industry, and so with it there's a certain way you have to carry yourself. But Absolutely. You have to be able to, one, come in, like you've said, you've come in and you put your best foot forward, knowing that you already have a target on your back, because right. And then secondly, you're a minority woman, right? So you come in with two strikes, so you have to work double as hard. So I like how you mentioned that you build these relationships, you've proven yourself to be one that can be trusted, because whomever brought you onto the project, they're putting their name on the line. And, depending on the relationship, whether they're the broker or they're just someone else that knows about it, you have to be able to present yourself in a shape, in a manner in which clearly you've done, and it's taken you further. So if I had to ask a question, I would ask, do you think in the dump truck space, is it more word of mouth driven, or is it more experience, or as a combination of both? What would you say that industry that's niche is really driven on how to grow your business?
I am going to say it is definitely word of mouth. It's who you know. You're not going to find work on a board. You're not going to be able to Google and find, like, really, if you Google right now and try to find work, you're going to go through the ringer. It's going to send you through all, because it's not out there. Who
Yeah.
you're working, yeah, whoever the broker is, or you'll find out who the contractor is, but you have to know how to get to
Right.
the connect. You know what I mean? And it's crazy, but that's how it is. That's how it is. Mm-hmm.
So, and I preach that too to my students as well, is that um you have to think outside the box, and that's something that you said early on, is you have to think outside
Mm-hmm.
the box. Think, and outside of the box is meaning get out of your immediate community, get out of the
Mm-hmm.
traditional way of looking for work. You have to think, okay, so I have a dump truck. Where would someone need a dump truck?
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, it's going to be a construction site.
Absolutely.
So you want to make sure that you are visiting some of these construction sites. You might want to
Mm-hmm.
jump out your truck, or, have a business card, be presentable. Don't look like you just woke up or you just came from the barber shop in your flip-flops, or, you drove down the street. Me personally, you should, if you are an entrepreneur, you are your walking billboard. So some part
Absolutely.
representing your business, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
polo shirt, keep it in the shirt in your car. You can keep a polo shirt in the car. If you were just driving down the street, you have to see a construction site, throw that shirt on real quick, and with your business card, say, hey, I'm a local owner operator. You guys,
Mm-hmm.
or can I get, the foreman's, is it the foreman? Is that what you
Yep.
call it?
The
Yeah,
foreman. Mm-hmm.
contact information, or you'll be surprised how open they will be. They're looking for you, but you're not positioning yourself to be found. So unfortunately, people well, not unfortunately, but a construction environment, it's right now, it's quick, it's fast. They're not going to do a whole lot of extra work. They'd rather just say, hey, do you know somebody? And if you say yeah, they like, bring them on. That's how it's going to be. So you want to be in that conversation, you want to be in that circle. So if you had to make a recommendation of 5 places a new person in the dump truck industry should be positioned, or where they should be meeting these type of people, what would be the 5 places you would recommend that someone go to?
Now, when you say the 5 places, are you speaking like of the job sites or?
Anywhere that they may be able to run into someone that can help them with getting on a site. So
Okay.
yeah.
So if you see a dump truck rolling down the street, you can stop them and say, hey, I'm looking, I just purchased a dump truck. Who are you working with? Who are you working for? If you see a construction site, then when you go to a construction site, you do want to be prepared. You will want to be prepared with the proper PPE gear, meaning your hard hat, your safety boots, and a safety vest. Okay. If you walk on a job site without that, they're probably going to chew you out. Like, hey, and then your chances of even getting to speak to someone just went out the door. You know what I mean? So yeah, so you want to do the job sites. If you see a dump truck, you want to try to convert with one of them. Um, it's not really too many different ways. I mean, you can kind of like Google to see what's going on in the area, or in wherever area you're working, to see, what else? What is that? Like, if you see, you can go to, um, what is that? Like the quarries, like Vulcan and things like that. Sometimes they'll direct you to, or even like the asphalt plant. You can go there too. You can do that, and then they'll direct you to. They have an app called Trucks, TRUX, and you can work through them, and they work with all the quarries. Now that's a good way to start. I do know someone that started like that, and they're still doing it to this day, and I'm like, what? Like, that's the last thing I take, But everyone have their niche, you know what I mean? He found that he liked it and it works for him, and when I heard about that when I heard that he was still out there doing that, I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, there is a app out there called Trux, Trux. So you can do asphalt, go to the asphalt plant. You can go to the quarry. You can go like to Vulcan and things like that. Get with them, um, because even when it's raining, they're still hauling like gravel. At least I know here they are. And then you could do the sites. So that's three. And then you could stop a dump truck. That's four. Trying to think of the fifth one.
You said the sites. I think you said the actual physical sites.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, if I could throw in, would be go to your city council meetings when they're talking about infrastructure building. That's another. That's another. It's open to the public. You can go in there and just listen about what highways are they working on, what buildings they're getting ready to remodel or or tear down. And that's how you can meet a lot of those construction people as well too.
But the thing about that, and that is definitely true. And the thing about that is that those contractors are going to go through a broker.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you still have to find out who is that broker, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, but if they have a relationship with that contractor, the contractor can let the broker know, hey, I need this guy. Make sure you put this guy on. Other than that, the brokers are putting on their people. You know what I mean? So it
Right.
just, yeah.
So, and in your opinion, do you think that they prefer to use brokers for the simple fact that the brokers have to do the screening process of the trucks that they're putting on the sites, meaning doing the background check, uh, reviewing their equipment, making sure it's safe, and or you think that's just their preference? They don't want to deal with the headache.
I think that if they need 50 trucks, they're calling one person.
Got it.
They need 50 trucks, they call in one person. Now, if it's someone that needs 10 trucks, they'll probably just, pull their own. You know what I mean? But yeah, but if they need quite a few trucks, they're going to call one person. They don't want to deal with all yeah.
Wow. So I hope you guys are taking notes. Those were, I mean, and I was sharing with her offline that I don't hear a lot of people really talking about dump trucks. And if you do, it's very, very faint. It's not in detail. So we're trying to break that and get you to segue into that, especially if you have a Class B, you're not really interested in doing OTR or driving a semi truck. This is another alternative to the box truck and the Sprinter van options for people that don't want to go the extra mile. So thank you for sharing that information. I want to just get a little more about your passion, real estate. So how did your trucking experience prepare you for that industry, or vice versa? How did your real estate prepare you for the trucking industry?
The real estate prepared me for the trucking industry when the real estate market crashed because I never saw it coming. You know what I mean? Like, I know they talked about it happening like many, many years ago, but there is no way. I'm like, this can't be happening. But I know you remember when everything just went boom. And I was like, okay, like at this time, I had about 4 to 5 deals in escrow. And so every day things were changing. I'm calling the lender. I'm like, hey, what's going on? When are we closing? He's like, oh, he texts me, we're in a meeting, not good. And I'm like, what do you mean not good? So when he gets out the meeting, he's like, oh, they done make changes. And, now you need this, you need that. And I'm like, what? I mean, one deal after the other was falling out of escrow. And then it got to the point that first it was like every week it was a change. Then it became every day. And he's like, Flo, you know what? He was like, they making changes every hour. I'm like, you kidding me? It was bad. It was really bad. And that's my only source of income. And at this time I have a mortgage. And so, but thank God I had a savings, right? Thank God I had a savings. But guess what? With nothing closing, I mean, and I'm trying to save this house. Yeah. Needless to say, I lost everything. But you know what? And then everyone was like, um, wow, you're taking it pretty good. Again, I am not of this world. You get what I'm saying? Those things, I can get those back. You know what I mean? So I was just like, it is what it is. I can't stress myself about it, you know? So yeah, I lost everything. Everything.
I love that you shared that because I was sharing my experience with, having gone to prison for 6 months and literally starting from ground zero. And, I was sharing with you how it made me, I wanted to be in my flesh and be embarrassed and be upset. But then the reality of it, when I being gone for 6 months and not having any of those creature comforts, it really helped me to see, like, because when you're in the middle of it and culturally programmed that you need these things to look a certain way and to be respected
Yeah.
and things of that nature, but then not having access to it actually was longer than that, because before I went to prison, I had to transition and a lot of all my stuff was put in storage. So everything that I thought I needed for over a year, I didn't have it. And I was okay. So
Yes.
a lot of what we feel we need to have to be comfortable or to look like success is
Uh-huh.
it's a smoke screen. And then when you find yourself without it, God is like, and you're still breathing, right?
Right.
You still can think, you can still, smile.
Yes.
There has not been one person that I know hasn't gone through some type of I lost it, right?
Yep.
But I believe God does that like to keep us balanced, to allow us to experience a certain way and then lose
Mm-hmm.
it and bring us back to it, because every time you go back to it, you have a different respect for it.
You
It
sure do.
doesn't, and God is a jealous God, and not in a,
Mhm.
but he wants to make sure that everything that you do, he's first. And
That's right.
when you understand that he is first in everything that you do, everything else is nothing. So that's how I can have joy, I can have peace. Not that my life is perfect, far from it.
Mhm.
But I have a new level of respect for life and a new level of peace where, bro, when they made that purse, that Louis bag, they made several other ones at the same time. And
Mhm.
while you was in the store buying that one, they was already on the next year's version of it at that
Hello.
same time. Same thing for that car,
Absolutely.
same thing for that house, same thing for the
Mhm.
clothes. So, it's not a matter, oh, I lost everything. I think no, it was just a reboot.
Yeah.
Uh, where now I can have it. And honestly, if I could be transparent, I like nice things. That's just who I am, and I
Yeah.
never thought about
Absolutely.
working hard for it. But it's not a need anymore because my focus is more on international traveling. I want to see the rest of the world.
That's
And
right.
that's what I respect about what you were saying earlier. You were like, once you figured out, like, I'll never leave California, but then when the opportunity presented itself, God was like, daughter, I have so much more in store for you. Why are you limiting yourself to here? I think
Yes.
God is so amazing that he will even start pressuring you where you don't have no choice but to move because
Yeah.
it's not working right here, right? And
No,
that's
it's not.
something
Yeah.
you were sharing earlier about, how you wind up in North Carolina and now transitioning somewhere else. But
Yeah.
it's just so beautiful. Speak a little bit about how that happened for you as well, and how you're able to find solace in the middle of all of that.
So here's the deal. So, okay, of course, in this industry, and again, me being a female, I'm very careful about, you know, hi, I speak to everyone, hi, whatever, but it's about making connections. And then I'm out here working, I'm just doing me, and you never know who's watching you. You never know who's watching you. You're not going to see me up in everyone's face. I'm in my truck, I'm doing what I have to do, and that's it. I speak to everyone. So, but coming to North Carolina, keep in mind, I was a little nervous. My guy was like, hey, we got this opportunity. And when I found out who was all out here, I was like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to a place that I'm not familiar with. I do have family here, but working wise, you know what I mean? And like housing. And so he made sure everything was taken care of. Actually sent some drivers before I went. And then when I got there, everything was great. When I got here, everything was great. So now, once everyone left, and I'm going to share this with you, I'm like, I mean, my son came out here. He's gone now. He's no longer here. So literally, out of over 200 people, there might be about 2 or 3 of us from California still here. 2 to 3. And I'm like, and literally, like you were talking about of this world, like literally, I don't have my girls here. I don't have my guy here. Like, I'm literally like by myself. And I'm like, God, why am I here? What do you, why am I here alone? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. I just go to work and I come home and I handle the business or whatever, I do the paperwork or whatever. But that was my question. Now, now I'm seeing though, people in California are complaining, even after the fire. That's why I did not leave. I was on my way. I was literally on my way to California and they started cutting trucks. And I was like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm already cut in with this broker, right? So now the people in California like selling their trucks or the trucks are parked.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, but it's like, and so I'm going to say this. I'm not going to be one to tell everyone, oh, you need to come on over here. Dump truck is where it's at. Dump
Right.
truck is where it's at if you know how to use your brain and move. You know what I mean? If you're not scared. So if you just want to be stuck in California, I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? I just don't know what to say. You have to be able to move around, or even, just stuck in your city. You have to be able to move around. And so with that being said, my truck will not be going back to California. It will be, no, it will not be. No, and yeah, and none of his other trucks either. You know what I mean? So it's like, will not be going to California. So we have the opportunity, like you have a few California people and in Indiana. You know what I mean? And you had some that was in Louisiana, and you have some that's in Georgia. Like that's my crew that moves around. You get what I'm saying? We're just so now we communicate with one another. Again, it's through word of mouth. It's like, hey, got this job over here, So it's real cool. I mean, and you have to be able to vibe. You know what I mean? So, again, it's the word of mouth. So yeah. And now it's like I don't plan on continuing to just drive like this. I'm trying to make up for what I
Yeah.
lost quite a bit when my truck was down. So it's
Yeah.
just then when I do, I'm just gonna be and how I find drivers, um, I go on Indeed. I go
Yeah.
online, I find local drivers,
Yeah.
and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we have just confirmed offline that you will be starting your consulting for those that are interested in getting into the dump truck space. So I will be tagging her information in the comments that you will be able to email her and you will be able to set up a paid consultation. One thing about me is I am big about promoting and supporting individuals, especially if you make time in your busy schedule to come support me. But this woman has a wealth of knowledge. Anyone is looking to get their business started, she can definitely give you a starting point. And yeah, so we just broke the news today, right, Flo? Right?
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Broke
So
news today. So she's
I'm
locked
here.
in now. It's out there now. You can't turn
It's out there.
it back.
It's out there.
So I love the energy that you have been breaking. So let's just talk about generational wealth. Do you personally believe that trucking creates generational wealth? Um, and how can that tie into the real estate space?
Oh, trucking can be very demanding. It really, really can. So it's like now the only way that I can see that really happening is if you're not in the truck. So like I don't plan on being in the truck. Um, I am currently in the truck, so therefore I'm not physically showing property. But what I am doing, I can help refinance loans. I can do those type of things. You know what I mean? Now, last year, I didn't do it this year, but last year I was going home to California every month, every month. You know what I mean? Every single month. But
Wow.
this year I didn't do it too much because uh, I had to be here. I had to be here. And then with the truck situation, and another thing too, you have to be ready for these breakdowns, things that happen, like, so, and you know what my new motto is? No broke thoughts. I'm not going to sit up here because for a minute I did. I was like, I can't do this no more, and yada, yada, yada. And at that time, my guy was like, well, what else are you going to do?
Harsh? That's harsh.
But you know what? The reality though, what else are you going to do?
Right.
I'm like, he's right. I
Yeah.
still need this truck to pull me up out of this, you know? So, and I'm too invested. So, um, I was like, you know what? But I still can do, I could do these loans. I can do, you know what I mean? So I can't show property, but I can help you refinance. I can help you get a loan to purchase, income property. We have great loans for that, because now we have what is that? Where it's not like quite like the stated income, but if you are always showing that you are taking a loss on your tax returns, you don't have to show your tax returns. We're going to go strictly off of your deposits that were made into your account. That's all they're going to look at. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So yeah, so because I mean that's real right there.
Yeah.
So it just but trucking can be demanding if you're in the truck.
Yeah.
So my goal is I'm going to be in the truck for about another year so I can take care of a lot of things, but I'm going to also, work this other side of the real estate industry as well. Yeah.
I believe that that speaks to your knowledge of um, the importance of financial education, financial literacy.
Yeah.
I think that's important for individuals to know that as hard as you working, it has to be a separation between you, your life, your home life, your
Hmm.
day-to-day life, and your business. And your business should be making sure that it's setting you up for retirement or
That's
transition.
right.
Because as an entrepreneur, you can't depend on someone to match your 401k or, insurance or social security if it's even going to be available when you really need it. I mean, there's so much going on with these,
Hmm.
the country of United States, how far in debt we are. I don't even know if social security still be there when I actually need it. But
I
uh,
know, right?
the point is as hard as you're working, you have to make the sacrifice with taking care of your home responsibility and putting a nest egg. You said something earlier, which is it's not a matter, and I said this in a previous interview, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to need to uh, do work on your equipment or
Yeah.
upgrade, or unfortunately, like you shared earlier, your whole engine blew up. So that's basically a whole nother truck you had to purchase.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So you have to have a nest egg, because if you do not, it's literally, yes, you can make thousands of dollars in 1 week. But if you have a situation like you shared earlier where your engine blew up, all of that and some is gone within a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these mechanics, they are not cheap. Uh,
Mhm.
Hopefully you have invested and you found someone that you can work with consistently, but
Mhm.
just that's the last thing you want to do. Because I experienced that when I had my trucking company and my truck broke down on the highway.
Oh
It
yeah.
was just a radiator, but it was darn near 3 times more expensive because it was on the side of the highway opposed to here in
Absolutely.
California, right? So
Absolutely. And they know
under
what they're doing.
yeah, absolutely,
They
yeah,
know
it's
what they're doing.
it's the stupid fee, because you should
And
have
I just
known better.
yeah, and I just want to say when that happened with the engine, keep in mind, okay, so I started the business and so for 10 years, I made sure I don't have any motor issues, right? Always check the oil. Make sure your coolant level is straight. You know what I mean? Always. I did everything to protect. Now, when this happened with the truck, the first time, I had a driver in it. Really, really, really responsible driver. I trust this man with any and all. He knew a lot about trucks. And he's like, hey, Flo, I think the manifold. I think it's the manifold. And I'm like, so when I get to the dump site, all you see is this oil all over the dump site. And I'm like, ooh, so call a mobile mechanic out. The truck was still cranking though, still cranking and turn it over. And so mechanic came out. He didn't know what he was doing, clearly, because my motor was still good. I should have just had the truck towed. So that's another thing, people. Sometimes, you have people saying, oh, I don't want to pay $500 for a tow. I don't want to pay $1,000. It's too far. Well, guess what? That $500 to $1,000, where I could have just had that truck towed, turned into 13,000. I said that would never happen again. Yes. So now I get the engine rebuilt. Okay. So that's that. I'm on another job that's really now you're in the terrain out here, because I'm in the mountains, is really rough, right? Okay, that's fine. So I'm working on a job where there's like lots of stones and boulders. So clearly a boulder up underneath, because the truck is like bouncing, right? And that's another thing too. You have to make sure that the specs on your trucks are right. So it punctures a hole in my oil pan.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it's just a matter. So all that old Louis and Gucci and all that you were talking about earlier, I need my truck to be in a line. And you can say, oh, dang, like you say, woe is me. Like, why is this happening? And well, guess what? I'm not going to have any type of broke thoughts. All of that was a learning experience for me. And it was, and unfortunately, that last incident was due to the negligence of another mechanic not doing what he was supposed to do to my truck. When I brought my truck to you, it was like this. When it left, it wasn't like that. You get what I'm saying? So now I have to pay for and I'm angry, but what am I going to do? Again, no broke thoughts. I'm going to take it to God, and I'm going to just, instead of saying every time we turn around, something's happening, I'm just saying now I'm getting my truck in alignment for what's ahead. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just part of the business. So again,
And that's what I tell people all the time. Trucking is not for the soft at heart. If you are easily shook, if you're easily break down, this is not for you, whether you're a broker, whether you're a freight dispatcher, because it's not a matter. That is a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna make a t-shirt. It's not a matter of when, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when something's gonna happen. It's going to happen. That's just
going to happen.
This beast, because you have these huge pieces of equipment, and unfortunately, people's work ethics are not like how they used to be. People don't take pride in their work like they used to. I learned that the hard way when I had drivers in my truck that, they run into stuff and, I just bumped the wall. Yeah, that bump to the wall can easily shift something, and we don't know if you're on the way, or you felt the thump and you just kept going, and maybe it was a port. Now you didn't puncture, people don't think about that. They don't care because it's not covered. All they care about is they getting their cut at the end of the week, right? So it's just go ahead.
I made something in our trucks years ago, and it said, and I need to put them back in the truck. It says, "You take care of this truck will take care of you."
That's right. That's right.
So, I mean, because we're doing a lot of off-roading. You know what I mean? So every time you bump, going up and down in that truck, something is happening. You know what I mean? So we have to take our time, and you have to know that was my truck, my baby. I'm in it, so I'm taking my time.
That's right.
But for something to puncture a boulder or a rock, I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just not if, like you say, when. And we just have to be prepared, not just have cash reserved on hand. You have to have credit.
Now that's now let's sit right there for a minute, because we were talking about financial literacy earlier. A lot of people get into this space and they're leveraging their personal credit, and or they're leveraging their personal finances, taking out 401ks or a loan against their insurance policy, all kind of crazy stuff. My personal opinion, and you can jump in whenever you see fit, but my personal opinion, if you're starting a business, I don't care what type of business, that business should not be depending wholeheartedly on you. Financial literacy is important for the simple fact that you need to understand that your business should be set up to run itself. So that means there needs to be funds sitting in a business account that is not attached to you. And I think that's why it's important for individuals to go back to creating a business plan. I keep harping on this, that people need to have a business plan, for the simple fact you need to know how much does it actually cost for you to run a trucking company. So in those costs, it should be the operational cost for the truck, not your personal. And
That's right.
Because some people, when they're figuring out what their rate per mile or their cost per mile is, they're including their personal life in that. The only thing that should be attached to you in that dollar amount should be you as the driver. How much are you paying yourself as a driver?
That's right.
Your housing, no matter if you're working from home, a lot of people want to say, oh, well, I work from home. Okay, well, are you actually calculating the space that you're working in? And then that's the amount that you can actually include as your business expense, not the entire house. It's not the entire
right. Yeah. That's true.
That's why it's important to have a CPA or an accountant that will help you understand what that means. But not to rattle too much off on the side, but I'm glad that you made mention of that earlier, is that, the business should be operating as a separate entity. It should not be as the business. And a lot of people, even me, when I first started, was signing my name as an authorized co-signer, basically, for my business, but I was doing it incorrectly. And because of that, when I lost everything, now they're trying to come after me to, for the loss of the business. And that was because I wasn't aware that I should not have been signing it as me being the guarantor. That's saying that I'm equally responsible. You're supposed to sign it as an authorized user, meaning all the debt, all of that responsibility is to the business. So you got to go after the business first. But if signing it as a guarantor, you're saying, oh, okay, well, I'm equally responsible for this debt. So that's very important to make sure that you get with an account, even with the real estate side, right? You should be understanding, that if you're going to use your LLC for the purchase of land, you can jump in and correct me, but if you're going to purchase property or land, you need to make sure that nothing is attached to you personally. Everything needs to be to that business. So, that was just a sidebar rant that, a lot of people don't really take into consideration when they're starting their business is it actually functioning as a business? Or are you just saying you have a LLC and it's still you? Because the position that, thankfully you were knowledgeable of what you need to do to protect yourself, and you had a nest egg that can float you for a while, but most people don't.
But even my nest egg, oh my goodness, girl, because listen, it doesn't take that long to put a motor in.
Yeah.
But the problem is, because what could have been done in 30 days, again, you're relying on someone else. The mechanic took forever to even get started.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. You know what I mean?
Like, that's the part that people don't take in consideration. Like you're literally being held captive, because what can you do? Once you put it on the lot, it is nothing that you can do unless you have the reserves, which you clearly don't, because you would have towed it to somewhere else.
Well, you know what? That's the thing. I could have towed it. I wanted to tow it.
Yeah.
But I had a mobile mechanic there with like, oh, it's just. That would never. And when I got it to the shop, I asked that particular mechanic, I said, had I had it towed here, would I have saved my motor? He said, yes. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But you got people out here trying to make $1, like, oh, you're fine, you're fine. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I wasn't. And
especially if you're a woman, because I had that experience several times that and I'm the type of person, I don't like to be bullied, so I'm gonna Google some stuff, and if it don't sound right, if it don't make sense to me, I'm gonna challenge you. But I had that happen. Matter of fact, when my semi was on, my trailer had got a flat, and he was trying to tell me that it was one of the other tires.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to say it was two tires. I'm like, no, it's one tire. And the guy was arguing because he was trying to charge me for two tires. And I told him, no, fix the one that's actually flat. The other one is okay. And they wind
Thank you.
up charging my credit card for two. So I had to dispute it. But thankfully, I had that communication with my driver, and I made him take pictures of what was really going on, so I can use that as, that's what I used in my dispute. It was on my AMAX.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I used as a dispute. You see right here that it was this tire, not that tire. Why am I being charged for two tires, right? So covering yourself, being knowledgeable before you get into this trucking space. I always tell people, you need to have a team. You need to have a legal team.
Sure do.
You need to have an administrative team that are knowledgeable of trucking, not just any type of attorney. Don't go out there and get a real estate or child support. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
They're knowledgeable of trucking, right? Because it's a different world. You need to have a legal team. You need to have an administrative team. You need to have a compliance management team, and you need to have a mechanic. Even if the mechanic doesn't go, you need to have one person that knows your truck. It's like a doctor, right? You don't go to just any doctor and think that they know what's going on with you. You want to make sure that you have a mechanic that can say, no, I know it's this, this, and this, and this, because they're the ones that worked on it, right? Go ahead.
So, okay, now what I did tell this mobile mechanic is that, well, my driver said that he believed it's the manifold. He should have checked it. My driver said he believed it's the manifold, and I believed him. And guess what the mechanic that put my engine in said? It was the manifold.
Girl, shut up.
But because I'm a female,
Oh my God. So that's like, you can't try to take that to court or anything like that? Or is it more like a word of mouth type situation?
I just let that go, and I let go and let God. You know what I mean? Like, because, I just let go and let God.
No, I feel you. I just asked because you know what? In this space, sometimes you got to make the decision that's best for you at that moment. And if
the energy,
that's it.
All of that, the energy, like, I just want to get my truck going again. You know what I mean? So So
I feel you. I feel you. You got to pick and choose your battle. Sometimes it's worth it, and sometimes it's not.
Right. Exactly.
So I have another question for you. What opportunities do you think truck drivers overlook?
Opportunity in what area?
When it comes to, like we were talking about offline, how you were, thinking outside the box and you made the decision to move. You were propositioned several times of other opportunities. What caused you to say, you know what, let me look at this from a different perspective and pick up and actually move? Because you're not just on a project where you went for a day or two. You literally rearranged your entire life and went to these different projects.
So granted, it wasn't initially my, like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do this. It was like brought to me like, hey, and then what happened, California was just extremely slow. Like, you go from making this amount to making that amount. And another thing I realized is that, and I didn't realize it until I left the States, and now I understand why a lot of people leave the States. We get paid more than California. The California cost of living is high, but in other places it's low. But guess what? The pay is more than California. So what happened is, now in my mind, I'm okay. I'm like, where's the next project? You get what I'm saying? I am no longer in this little box, this little Cali box, you know what I mean? Where California, and I, you know what? I just recently, and I want I want California to understand that I am upset with them, right? But anyway, I said, they must be anti-truckers. because of all the things that they want us to pay and dish out. But the rate is not there. It's just not, it's not cool how they're doing the truckers in California. I am going to say that. The rates are extremely low. And so now it's like either you stay in this box and you struggle, inflation, I mean, every diesel fuel. I'm like, diesel fuel went up, but the rates didn't go up. So there's no other way for me to think, but where is the next location? You know what I mean? Like, so they have the data centers. Are you familiar with the data centers?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I literally just got through talking about this the other day. I was talking about people that have flatbeds. That's where I was talking about that you need to make yourself available because these data centers are going up all over the place. So
Yes, they are.
move those huge pieces of equipment. And yeah, but what were you going to say?
Currently, a couple of trucks on that project in a state. You know what I mean? They have them all over the place, but we have 2 trucks over in another state and currently work in the data center. And so that's just where, and that's another thing, that's word of mouth. That's just like, man, it's great. So you have to like be willing to step out. You know what I mean? Out of the comfort zone. So yeah.
Well, I have kidnapped you for a little over an hour, so
Okay. Well, this was great.
I have this section which is called the lightning round. And so the lightning round is just I'll ask you either or, and you just choose which one of the either or.
Okay. Okay. Oh boy.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Okay. Real estate or dump trucks?
Oh, dump trucks.
Okay. Best business book?
Best business book. Oh, that's a tough one. Traction? No.
Traction is good.
Okay.
Row of traction. All right, traction. One word that describes your leadership style.
One word that describes my leadership style. Discipline.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like it.
Discipline.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I just have one last question, and then we're going to allow you to tell the people how to find you.
Okay.
If someone watching today has one truck, one dream, and a desire to build wealth, what's the first step they should take?
They have one truck, one dream. Contact me.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Very
Contact me.
point. Yes, absolutely. Contact. So, with that being stated, go ahead and share how someone can follow you, how they can get in contact with you, how they can set up their consultation.
Okay, I am on Instagram at Miss Epic Level.
All right. Well, Ms. Flo-Ron, I have had a absolute amazing time with you today. You are a walking wealth of knowledge. I definitely want to have you back on again. Thank you for sharing so many gems today.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely have to have you back on. So thank you for joining us for another episode of UTL Trucking Education Hub podcast. Of course, remember, you can make excuses or you can make progress, but you usually can't make both. Now that's the trucking truth. Until next time, guys.